So, as I'm listening to tarot, I always query God and ask, okay, so what's going on here? The mind blowing conversation that I had with God yesterday is that in 2013, Ava got custody. Ava Raquel Atkins, born October 26th of 1990. No, October 26th of 1973. Either October 26th, 1973 or October 24th of 1973. I don't think she's a 24. I'm a 24. I think she's a 26. So October 26th, 1973. Now keep in mind that these are fraud workers, so she could have a different name, she could have a different birthday, and all of that. But I'm telling you about when we grew up in the same house as children under Dorothy Jean Starks Atkins and Arthur Atkins's rule at 6010 North 32nd Street, Tampa, Florida. Okay? What I got in the conversation with God is that 2013 Ava got custody of Angola, and Abby put insurance policies on them, and one of them has been Angola has been pronounced as being dead. She might have even collected an insurance policy from the fake death of Angola Atkins, even though she's still alive. Abby, the youngest child, born June 14th of 2010 to Aileen Dorothea Atkins and Abraham Vada Jones. And I'm going to say Martha O'Donnell because his mama is like the other half of him. He doesn't stand alone. It's him, and she's a part of him. They may have reported her as missing, and after 2 years, then you can pronounce him as dead and collect the insurance policy. So Abby may also be legally deceased in this society, even though these are my Lotus birth babies. So they were both born at home in the bathroom. And we have been together ever since I pushed them out in the bathroom. Angola was born at 6010 North 32nd Street in the bathroom, February 25th of 2007. Angola, Abby was born in the bathroom at 2212 East Mallory Avenue, Tampa, Florida 336. I think that's '02 or '05. That's behind the Florida Sentinel. My grandma, Irene P. Scarborough, owned two shotgun houses and that rooming house on 21st Street, which is right behind those Tula shotgun houses. My grandma owned those three properties. So the little shotgun house, there was a small shotgun house directly behind the Florida Sentinel at 2210 East Mallory Avenue, Tampa, Florida. Not that one. The next door one was a bigger house, like twice the size of the little shotgun house. And my mom, Dorothy, bought that house from her mom, Irene Scarborough. And it ended up as a part of her estate. It was behind in back taxes 3 years. And my brother, he didn't seem too concerned. So he already probably had intentionally let it run into back taxes. This is a technique that they do when they want to defraud the person that owns it. In family situations now, people do fall behind because of whatever. But when they intentionally let the grass grow up, put junk in the yard and leave it, that's because they're intentionally running down that property value so that they can come and buy it cheap or have their investor buddies buy it cheap, and then over a certain period of time they will transfer the property back to the original owner. For example, I owe on my storage unit. If I couldn't pay my storage unit and they're going to auction it off, I call my friend and say, hey, can you buy my storage unit from the auction? Now, no matter how much money they pay for my storage unit, they might pay $300 at the auction for my storage unit, but I owe $1,300, right? So I saved $1,000 by having my friend buy my storage unit at auction. That saved me $1,000, except the $1,000 debt is still under my name. She can buy the auction and bring me all of my belongings out of the storage unit, right? And so it's the same concept. You defraud the business from the debt that you owed at its face value. And so I, at the time, was in, I'm going back to the birth story now. I was in Savannah, Georgia, living with a little bit in it seemed to be a bando to me. She said it was her friend's property, and we had running water, but we didn't have lights. And it was right in the district where that SCAT school is, Savannah. Let me see, what is the acronym? It's a college where the children do arts and crafts. They make beautiful clothes, they make beautiful art. And Savannah, what is the name of that school? Art Institute. It seems like SCAT or something like that. There's a library near there, but I don't know why they called. So this had to be a setup too. When Auntie Ethel Kate and her daughter Marvis said I could come to Savannah, Georgia, and I could give natural birth, because that was my thing. My brother keep telling me, go to the hospital, go to the hospital. My mom did the same thing. If I would have never went to Morton Plant Meese Hospital, Clearwater Beach, Florida, if I would have had the courage to give birth in the living room, I believe with every fiber of my being that my two babies, the twins, a moon and a set, I had a boy, I had a girl, they would have been born naturally, and they would have been fine, and I would have been fine. But I hadn't taken classes. And the way my mind works, if I don't take a class to give me the information to cause me to feel like I am equipped, then I have like this writer's block. I can't go forward. So I hadn't taken the doula classes yet. And I was scheduled to go to Philadelphia. There was a group of Hebrew Israelite women, three of them, that owned a restaurant. And they were all midwives, and they were going to help me birth my babies. The other thing I wanted to do was go to Dimona, Israel. Not doctor, Ben Ami, Ben Yahweh. I can't remember the name of the person, but had a birthing center. They grew their own food. They created books to tell you how to naturally get the vitamins and nutrients you needed to have a healthy baby. I remember sesame seeds and dates. Brewer's yeast was a big part of the diet, and a bunch of chlorophyll greens for like $250 a month or a week. I can't remember. You could stay on the compound, give birth to your babies, and do your recovery there as well. Well, I didn't get up the money to go to Israel to give birth over there, so I ended up in a real fix, because here I was going to the doctor at St. Joseph's Hospital. They had a midwife. What do you call it? It's like it seemed like it was experimental. You could give birth at the hospital with a midwife. So it's like you have the natural midwifery concepts in the hospital setting. So instead of them rushing you, and if you don't give birth in their timeline, them scheduling a C-section and cutting you open, they would monitor you and help you to have natural childbirth. So Carla, with a K, was my midwife, and they were just doing too much for it to be a midwifery setup. And I was refusing a couple of things, and so they dropped me. She was saying, "Oh, well, you can sell your blood." And I was like, "No, I don't want to do any of that. I just want to have healthy babies. I want to take my two placentas home with me so that I can bury them and plant a tree on top of them for my children. And I want to do lotus birth. Lotus birth is when you keep the placenta attached and you leave the umbilical cord unclamped, uncut." And I guess it was just too much for her mind. So they sent me a letter in my 8th month of pregnancy with twins and said, "You are high risk and we're not going to be able to help you with your birth." So now I'm 8 months pregnant. This hospital is telling me, "Don't come here." I was supposed to, wait a minute, let me tell you the important part. I was scheduled to go to the hospital to sign papers to say that I could bring my placentas home. That's where the problem came. I went to the hospital to sign the papers, and that's when they told me that they dropped me. So, see, they want your body products for free. I'm Rh negative, rare blood type, and that's probably why she hit me with the "you can sell your blood." And I'm like, I'm not interested in that. I just want healthy babies. I don't want my blood product all over the world, being reproduced here, there, there. That was my position at the time. And they dropped me. So now I'm freaking out like, whoa, where are you going to give birth? Nobody wants to pick up an 8-month pregnant person. So basically, when you go into birth, you call 911 and you get what you get. So that's what happened. And I got what I got. Because I was an activist at the time, I kept hearing God say, "Do not give birth in Hillsborough County. Do not give birth in Hillsborough County." Now, in my heart, mind, body, and soul, I felt like my life was in danger already because I was on my TV show, Reality Speaks. And even though I didn't intend my platform to turn out as a complaining session for African Americans, that's what it became. And I guess that was needed at the time, a place for African Americans to vent about the way they were being treated in a still white supremacist run, governed America, Florida, Tampa. And I just leaned in. I went with the flow. It was a live call-in show and people called to complain about different things. And it overwhelmed me because I kept trying to take on all of people's problems. So now I've got a mind full of, you got to help the widows so that when their husbands die, they can get more of their husband's widow benefit, a larger portion so that they can live. You got to help the young brothers on the corner who are being kicked to sleep by the police, over marijuana. And you got to help the babies whose blood is being stolen by doctors with this early cord clamping, and they're stealing the placentas and using it for stem cell research. And I had too much in my mind. So I started telling these people who called in, unlike Dr. Martin Luther King, I'm not willing to risk my life for this. Y'all an ungrateful bunch. I see how many of you all come out to the Dr. Martin Luther King parades. Y'all don't care. And I don't want to be looking down in heaven complaining like this is the best they could do after I gave my whole life. Yeah, no, thank you. So what I started doing is delegating. If you called in to complain about a thing, you became the chairperson for that task group. Now, it's your job to take the names of people who call in about this same thing, widow's benefit. When you and your husband were together, y'all got $3,000. When he died, you ended up with $1,000. Now, you create a task force and you all go lobby to your senators and congresspersons and make sure we get that legislation changed to favor the people. If you called in and complained about police brutality, you became the president of that task force. And I started emptying my plate. Well, I got pregnant in the interim, and God said to me loud and clear, do not go on that TV show pregnant. They're going to hurt you. And I'm like, who is they? And what is this I'm hearing? Okay. So guess what I did? I went back down to the cable station, got on the camera, pregnant like God told me not to. And so I guess that's why I didn't lose my mind when they took the only babies I ever prayed for, and I'm thankful for every last one of my children. I prayed for twins. I had one child at the time, a lonely kid, and we were growing up together. I said, God, now, I was briefly dating a guy who I think now my family paid him to come into my life. I don't think it was a genuine connection, and cross me up somehow. When they see me doing good, they will pay people to come and pretend to like me. And because my standards have been very low throughout my life, I like people that like me back. I've never stood back and said, now, who do you like? Look out in the world, see who you like, and you go pursue that person. I just would accept whatever came my way to like me. So I said that because this person and I were briefly together, and he exposed me to a lot of great information, but he was heavily on this love kick, and I was like on this militant revolution kick, so it didn't work out at all. But he introduced me to the thought of having twins, and I said, wow, you know what, that's a good idea. Next time I get pregnant, God, I would like to have twins so that my child could have company. I didn't even think about what if the twins hate each other, you know? And so when I found out I was having twins, I was at the abortion clinic, which no longer exists, but it's across from Hillsborough High School. It used to be across from Hillsborough High School. It was called Alternatives. And I had been taken there by the person who I thought was most likely the father. And when I say that, the guy that I was telling you that my family probably sent to me to date me, he and I were no longer getting along. I broke up with him. And I said, God, I don't want to go back to this person. But because we were sexually active on a regular basis, whenever that sexual intensity arose, I would think of him, but I said, no, I know I'm not going to end up with him. I don't want to continue that. So what can I do? And myself said to myself, well, you remember so-and-so from, a couple of years ago? Call him and see what he's up to. So I call and say, hey, if you're not married and you don't have a girlfriend, come pick me up. Let's hang out. Now, unfortunately, I think he was either married or had a girlfriend. He didn't say that to me, though. And to this very day, he hasn't said that to me. So I don't know, because he ain't had really 2 conversations with me. And the twins are now 20 years old. So this is another thing, children, when you make these messed up situations, because myself should have said, masturbate, go to the sex store and buy, one of those things and pleasure yourself. I didn't have those kind of thoughts. I thought it had to be done by another human. And I didn't think, well, pray and ask God to take this sexual arousal energy from you. I'm like, in my late 20s, early 30s. And you know what the energy is like then. Well, if you're a child, you don't know. But what I'm saying is try to do as much for yourself as you can between you and God. Fight it. Don't end up with babies with men that didn't want the children, and you are left to struggle to raise the children. It's hard on the children, it's hard on you, and it's hard on the men who have the children, because psychologically they still feel guilty if they have any kind of mortality about them, they still feel guilty about bringing seed into the earth and not doing right by them. So it just brings a lot of negative energy in the universe all the way around. And I'm thankful that my children are here. I didn't get the pleasure to raise those children. They were taken from me at 3 days old at Morton Plant Mease Hospital. And they might have even reported them as dead. You know, my family is into this insurance scam thing. So even though all my children are alive, they may all be dead on paper. I might even be dead on paper. But you hear me talking to you, right? So I've told a lot of different stories and I went in many different directions. So I want to close it out because I'm at 20 minutes and 49 seconds. They took the placentas from me, rolled me down to the psych ward, and I don't know what they put on paper to try to make it be that I was crazy, but I was talking real good sense. And they knew they wanted to steal those placentas, and they probably had even bought into the idea of killing me medically. Because when you're in the hospital, they can shoot shit in your IV, they can do a lot of things to kill you. And just say, you know, it was a medical mishap. No, not say it was a medical mishap. Say something was wrong with you, or, you know, her heart didn't hold up, you know, during the C-section, whatever. But I was politically connected heavily at that time with NPDOM, International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement. Natalie got me involved in that. I was following my friend Natalie. To this day, I still don't know what it means. Well, maybe I do know what it means to be a socialist. I didn't research it and I don't know the ramifications really, but I knew that when Natalie said they help black people deal with discrimination, I wanted to be a part of it. And so I went to the meetings with her. I met Chimarenga, Omali Ishatella, Iranov, Gaia, Penny, and Penny is over the Solidarity Committee, which is Caucasian people that recognize that black people were brought here to build up America and were never given their 40 acres and a mule. So the Solidarity Committee says to Caucasian people, we are wealthy because we took advantage of, you know, melanated people and built our wealth, and we should give back to them, you know, as a part of kind of like reparations for what we did to them. And there are some Caucasian people in the earth that agree, and they will share their benevolence as a result. And so if any of you all are listening to me, I need a 6,000 watt solar generator with about 9 100 watt panels and somebody to help me hook it up. And I would like that there is a toilet system where you use the poop to create gas and you can use the gas to cook with. And I need at least 2 wood burning stoves and a fence, 3 golf carts, 2 quickie wheelchairs, 2 quickie wheelchairs, and 2 iPads with at least 2 terabytes. Well, 3 iPads. I never include myself. 3 iPads with the terabytes. I would really like a Mac Pro, something that closes. Matter of fact, we all need the Mac Pro laptops with the hard cases to protect them with at least 2 terabytes of internal hard drive. And that'll be a good start because SOS 5 STEMG Academy is getting ready to start up again October 4th. That's our kickoff date. And in order for us to be prepared for this new earth and this so called new world order, there's nothing new under the sun, but let's go with the lingo. We are going to have to reintroduce some skills that we have allowed to pass away through the generations, and basic survival skills are going to be needed. We could very well end up living back like the Amish live. And so God has placed it upon my heart to create a prototype here in the city so that when things occur and the electricity is not as plentiful as it is now, and we have blackout days and blackout weeks, or due to war, blackouts, there will be several people who can be dispatched out into the community to help set up substations so that we can continue to function and we don't turn into monsters and really live the zombie apocalypse. So that's the goal. And God has me saying things to put it on people's hearts. And because people detest me being great so vehemently, they do everything in their power to make sure they steal anything that comes out of my mouth as an original idea, and they do it themselves and they take the credit for it. So there's a lot of creative munchers around me. I'm surprised they're not, well, they're outside somewhere recording. And God said, don't feel bad about this. You're a starter. You don't have to be a finisher. You're a starter. And that's my position. SOS 5 STEMG Academy and its curriculum, God has placed it on my heart to be a starter and a finisher. And I don't know if God has placed it on my heart to be a finisher. I want to finish it. I want my name inked on it. And so I've held on to it so tightly that I've really denied many children who could have benefited from this knowledge access. And for that, I want to say I'm sorry. My flesh sometimes gets the best of me. And when it comes to education, that's my love. And I apologize and hope and pray that your replacement person will be just as phenomenal as am I. Peace.